Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of Artist Stories of Middle Georgia. I'm your host, Victor Rigoli, and I'm excited to have a special guest with me today, Janea Spillers. Janea, thank you for being here on the podcast.
Hey, Victor, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great. I'm going to read a little something here about Janea so folks can get to know you a little bit, and then we'll go into some questions. You're an oil painter. You focus on the figure, whose bold color, raw, expressive brushwork give form to the inner lives of women. And I think that's quite interesting, and we'll talk a little bit about that. You're based here in Georgia, which down in Perry, Georgia, my understanding. But you've been creating art since your childhood. Is that correct? And
That's correct.
yeah, so you actually turned professional back in 2024. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's just a year or so ago. Wow.
Scary.
That's yeah. The thing I noticed here, it says her work walks the line between control and chaos. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I want you to share with folks about that,
Okay.
channeling emotion through movement and gesture. And your paintings have been shown internationally, and you got collectors all over the world, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We met, what was it, the 1st of June, I think, in our little artist
Yeah,
meetup
not
group.
long ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a month and a half or so ago. And we talked a little bit about getting you on. And I know you've been busy this summer. I just got back from vacation yesterday. So
It was
it's
fun. Where
been
were you?
exciting. We went down to Jekyll Island and spent,
Oh, nice.
gosh, about 5 or 6 days. My wife is still working. In her company, Georgia Farm Bureau, they had a conference down there, a convention for the young farmers and ranchers, and so she had to work a couple of days, and so I got to tag along and help a little bit, play a little golf, lay out by the pool, all
Nice.
that kind of fun stuff, hard stuff to do. But anyway, she took an extra couple of days. Her birthday was this past Saturday, so we were there Saturday and Sunday, and we came back yesterday. But yeah, we had a
Oh,
wonderful, wonderful time. But it was good to get
good.
away. But yeah,
Happy birthday to
so
her.
yeah, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what your art is all about, and what motivates you. And I think I communicated with you a little bit about some of the things that we'll talk about today. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so way back, you talked about my childhood. My mom has always painted. She had a full-time career day job type thing, but she was always painting. My grandparents were really creative. Not necessarily art like painters, like visual
Mm-hmm.
artists, but they were always they didn't have a ton of money, and so my grandma was always crafting and making like Valentine's Day decorations from paper and
Right.
leftover
Right.
cardboard and stuff. And my grandpa, he was in the Navy and he was syncing Christmas music to Christmas lights back before that was ever even a thing. Like
Really?
he was just
Wow.
so creative and could do those things. And so when I was little, I would stay with them all summer and I would craft at the craft table with my grandpa and my grandma. And I actually have that craft table in my studio and I'm
That's
really scared
great.
to use it. I
Oh
like
yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
falling apart. But it's just important to me to keep that legacy of
Oh yeah.
creating. And
Right.
so my mom, we painted my first painting together. It was me and her, and we are the exact same personality. And so, as you can imagine, a mother and a daughter. It was a rough process, but after that, it did not deter me, and I kept painting, and I kept just really diving into my creativity. And so, all through school, I was always interested in the arts, and but I always had like a left brain
Mm-hmm.
math interest as well. And so when it was time for me to go to college, my both of my parents started their own businesses. Totally supported themselves, very smart people, very driven people, and so they encouraged me, hard encouragement to get a degree that, could get me a job anywhere,
Right. They
and I
didn't
love
say get
them.
an art degree. They just said, hey, get a
No.
job, a degree where you could, support yourself, probably.
Yeah, and the underlying tone was not an art degree.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting a master's in mechanical engineering
Oh, wow.
because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um No, I think, something that, Victor, you'll learn about me the more we get to know each other is, when someone tells me that I can't do something, I'm gonna prove you wrong,
Yeah,
and to my detriment
that's
sometimes,
great.
and
Yeah,
yeah, day 1 of engineering school, the professor said, "Look to your left, look to your right, only one of you will graduate." And so I said, "Back up, everybody, I'm graduating." And I
yeah.
did it, and I'm so
Go ahead
grateful
and get
for
out
it.
now because I'm the one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and,
Yeah.
I am grateful for that degree, I worked really hard for it, and,
Where did you go to school?
I went to Mercer.
Oh, at Mercer. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm from Perry, went to school in Macon. I have some legacies in my family, so that was pretty cool and special to go there. And I loved Mercer. I actually ended up getting my minor in graphic design because
Hmm.
I knew that I couldn't go 4 or 5 years without any kind of art in my life. Like
Right.
I knew
Right.
engineering school was going to be hard, and so I made a point to take some extra classes, increase the coursework a little bit, and get that minor. And I didn't do. Some people ask me, they're like, "Why didn't you do like painting or a
Hmm.
drawing minor?" And
Hmm.
I had the prerequisites to go straight into the like top level graphic design classes, and I didn't want to do the like prerequisites for everything. And so I was like, I'm just going to do these advanced classes, and
Yeah.
it really has helped me now in my career because I've created my own website. Like I do posters and I do some side work with graphic design, and so it's been a really
Right. Right.
big benefit for me.
That's great.
And
That's great.
yeah, so
What
and
year
then
did you
after
graduate at Mercer? What
I
year?
graduated in 2017,
Okay.
and then I got my master's in 2018.
Okay. Okay.
So and my I met my husband here in Perry. We're high school sweethearts,
Oh,
and we
okay.
both went to Mercer. And then he graduated and was doing professional school. So
Okay.
I had a degree where I could get a job anywhere, and so I did. And so I worked as a mechanical engineer in the like architecture world for 4 years, and then we moved again for more schooling for him, and I supported us that whole time for about 7.5 years
Hmm.
doing engineering design type work. And so I have put in my time. I feel like with engineering, and I am done with that.
So I have to ask, Spillers, are you related to the Spiller orthodontic family?
I am
Okay.
direct, but that is my husband. He went to dental
Okay.
school and then he did orthodontic residency, and so now he works with his dad, and it's really special. They're like best friends. It's really cute. And
All three of our kids had braces from Dr. Spillers. Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
nice.
When I saw that name, and then I think I saw a picture of you and your husband, and I said, he's got, looks like a medical coat on. He
Hmm.
might be related. So
He
I just had
is.
to ask. But that is so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
neat.
such a blessing, and, he
Yeah.
works so hard, and I was glad to be able to support him. But when I talk about my, like, career, because people are so confused, and I get it,
Hmm.
I talk about, like, a spectrum. So, like, over here is my left brain, and over here is my right brain, and, like, I did mechanical engineering, and then we moved, and I got a job in an architecture office doing more
Okay.
design-ish work, still, using my brain a lot. It was commercial design, healthcare.
Right.
And then when we moved back to Perry, I finally made the jump into full-time art. And
Okay.
so it was this like, ticking, time to get to where I really wanted to be. So
Right.
it's
Right.
scary, but I'm really grateful to be in a position where I can give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your art. I loved what it said in the bio there about control and chaos. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. To me that is such an important piece of my bio because my figures, I like them to be I like all of the ratios to make sense, like the body proportions. I like for when you look at it, at least right now,
Hmm.
art changes all the time. I like for the proportions to be right, and for if I'm putting a face in my painting, I like for it to be accurate. There's not really an element of abstraction so much with the proportions of the figure, and so I spend a lot of time getting that part right. A lot of times in my underpainting, or in sketches or paintings that I do beforehand, and then the chaos comes from I mix these big piles of color and I turn music on, and oftentimes like I will just start dancing and I'll just go in there with a big brush, and to me that just gives life into the painting, and
Right.
it just
Right.
allows me to just get out of my head because I
Be
just,
free and
yeah,
expressive. Yeah.
it's so easy to get stuck
Hmm.
into your head, and I've thankfully gotten more and more to a place where do it. If it sucks, throw it away, start over, paint over it. It's fine. And you get better art that way,
I
and
love
it's just
that.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm learning from that, because I want to move in that direction, because it's like, I'm afraid to, I'm afraid to waste paint and
Mm,
canvas and stuff. It's like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, it didn't turn out, do I throw it away or whatever? But I was talking to my wife about it over the weekend, because I had some time. I didn't take any paint with me. I didn't take a sketchbook. I just got away.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I had some me time just kind of walking on the beach, but I was thinking about it. I said, just do it and enjoy the process and learn from it. And that's the thing I want to do, is just kind of learn from it. So if I can maybe be a little bit more expressive, that kind of thing, and just think outside the box. And if I throw something up on the canvas and I don't like it, no big deal. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What did I learn from it? That's the
Right.
thing, right? So
Right. Because
I like that. Yeah,
it's all cataloging, in
yeah,
your brain. Every
yeah.
stroke, every mark that you make is
Right.
a catalog. It's teaching you something, whether it's subconscious or not. And I think really, I mean, I used to. I've had a studio at
Mm-hmm.
the whole time I was doing engineering work, I was painting. I was
Mm-hmm.
always painting at home. I would come home on the weekends and I would paint, and I always had like a room in our house that
And
was my studio.
you're in that room now. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I
Yeah, I see
still
your
am in a room.
paintings in the back.
I
Yeah,
know. I was
it's
like, I
great.
don't really know how to sit. This is literally my desk here, and then everything there. There was no another option. But yeah, and the bigger spaces that I've gotten, I've the big canvases used to scare me, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
now I love them, and it's so hard to paint small because you just get this freedom with it, and you step
Right.
back and you look at it and you get up close and you can't even see the whole picture, which is
Right.
nice, and you just get in there and sometimes you do it feels intuitive, you step back a lot, and it's just this movement, it's this dance that I love.
That is so
So try that,
cool.
maybe try some dancing, Victor.
I know. I need to turn on some
Loosen it up.
music, and of course I've got the Alexa and all that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
hopefully she didn't hear me, and she'll come on here and ask what I'm what I want.
Yeah.
But I've got my wife bought me a little record player, because I've got some old albums and old 45s and stuff, and it's just maybe just playing some music, southern rock and roll kind of guy, and
Yeah.
just get out there and just let the juices flow and just see
Yes.
what happens,
Yes, do
and
it.
step
Yeah.
back and paint, and put a stroke and
Yeah.
see what happens. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
it.
different
Yeah,
tools, and yeah.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Mhm.
So, what medium do you work in? Acrylic, oil,
Oil
both, or
mostly,
okay?
recently so, I in March of this year, March to April, I did a 3-week residency in France,
Oh,
and,
wow.
yeah, it was amazing, life-changing, we can talk about it more, but, I, was doing a lot of acrylic before then, even though I've
Mm-hmm.
loved oil for forever, because with this business, I'm like, I need to churn out paintings, right? Like, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna be an artist, I'm gonna, make this a business that can support itself and support
Right.
it needs to sell paintings. And
Right.
so the quicker I can make paintings, the better my business will do. And so I had this whole thing where I was doing a lot of acrylic, and it was really tough for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I like acrylic, but it was just hard. Something about your brain, it just you have to like rewire it somehow. And I've made a lot of paintings that I truly do love in acrylic, but and then with this residency, I thought, well, it makes sense to use acrylic. I'm going to go over to France. I have to ship my paintings back.
Right.
Oil's just not possible. But
Right.
like 4 days before I left for the trip. I had already all my supplies ready, packed up, and I said, "Nope, what the hell? I'm gonna use oil," because to me, I feel like that's true to me, and this whole
Right. Right.
residency is about, taking away the distractions, diving into your work and who you are and figuring
Right.
that out. And so I just did it, and I was like, if nothing's dry by the time I need to ship it home, then I'll just leave it, because
Yeah.
that's what it's
Yeah.
about.
Right.
And, turns out everything was pretty much dry, and I learned so much about myself. I feel like I unlocked new, rooms in my brain
Mm-hmm.
for making
Mm-hmm.
art, and I'm so grateful that I made that choice. So
That's
oil
great.
is my medium of choice, but
Mine
I have
too. I love oil. Yeah.
I know, it's
Uh,
just something about it,
yeah.
and, yeah, I love it. But I love acrylic, and I really love watercolor too. I've
Oh,
taken
okay.
some workshops and stuff with some really amazing watercolor artists, and, I love that, but I don't always show that online and
Uh-huh.
in my, like, social media and stuff because I'm trying to niche down into the figurative work, but a lot of my commissions are actually watercolors.
Oh, wow. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Now, are there smaller pieces or
Yeah,
larger pieces? Mostly
um
small on the watercolor?
yeah, the biggest that I'll go is, like, 16 by 20, but that's mostly
Wow.
because that's the size paper that I have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
Well, that
you
makes
can go
sense.
pretty
Yeah.
big, but
Yeah, I guess you
that
could,
that
really. Yeah.
intimidates me. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a friend of mine I met through coworker of my wife's, Tammy. Her dad is a watercolor artist, and I've had him on the podcast and everything, and we've met for lunch once or twice and everything. And we were just talking about, it is so different. I mean, there's no white in watercolor,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you use the paper, the color of the paper or whatever. So there's no white paint. And so I thought, wow, boy, it'd be a challenge for me. Not that I use
Yeah.
a lot of white, but you have to think
Yeah.
differently, if I'm
That
going to
talk
have
about rewiring your brain. Yeah.
yeah, if I'm going to have white foam or something like that, an
Mhm.
ocean scene, okay, I've got to leave space for that,
Yeah.
and paint around with the
Right.
other colors to give that effect, so it's like, wow, yeah,
Yeah.
I would just
I think
love to
that's
sit and watch somebody that's a watercolorist,
yeah.
paint and see how the process they go through, in
Yeah,
creating
we
something. Yeah.
should watercolor together sometime.
Yeah.
Fun. It's
That's
easy
cool.
to move around. Like I have this is sitting right here because I do a lot. This is my travel palette, and it folds up, and
Oh,
then
cool.
I just have these little wells with the colors, and this is like all my mixing places,
Right.
and then it just folds back up, and it has this little thumb like little holder. It's
Oh,
great. I do a lot
that's
of plein
neat.
air painting, and so I
Okay.
take that a lot. But yeah, I love it. I think it watercolor pushes you to figure out what to leave out more because like you said, it's challenging if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing something like that where you have
Mm-hmm.
waves and foam. It's like, okay, maybe how can I show that that's foam without just leaving it white? Maybe
Right.
the challenge
That's true.
is,
Yeah.
using other colors and
Other
laying
colors.
down,
Yeah.
thin washes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, what are you really passionate about in creating your art?
I am really passionate about a few things, lots of things.
Okay.
I
Tell us about
so
those. Yeah.
so my whole like what I paint figures, I paint women, I paint the female perspective because I always go back to Dr. Seuss. I love Dr. Seuss. I love poetry, and that's like the base of poetry, and from like my childhood. And there's a quote that says, "It's true, you are you. There is no one alive who is youer than you."
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it allows this freedom from the scarcity mindset of art that you are like there's no other victor like you in the world, and you have a unique background, you have a unique set of skills that only you can provide through your art. And
Right.
so if you were to stop making art, the world would miss out on that, no matter how many oil painters there
I
are.
love
And so
that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so for me there are a lot of female artists who paint the female figure,
Mm-hmm.
but I have all these really big emotions inside of me, and like since just stuff that I went through as a kid, and I think I repressed a lot of that emotions, and it was hard for
Mm-hmm.
me to put words to them,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have these really big feelings, and I wouldn't know what to do with them, and so now, like, as an adult, I'm realizing I have, everybody goes to therapy now, hopefully, and therapy's helped me put words to it, but also like painting and drawing and
Right.
visually communicating those things. And then
Mm-hmm.
hopefully by opening up myself to other people and, or like the experiences and the emotions of my models or my friends who I paint and their stories. Like if I can put that on the canvas, then the people who are viewing my art can see that and learn about other people and um, relate to that. I don't think anybody experiences anything in a bubble. I think
Right.
we all have very similar experiences, and so
Oh,
we
oh,
just
most definitely. Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes we're just too ashamed or too scared to talk about them, and so I
Right.
feel like if we can, you know, cut the shame out and cut the fear out and talk about those things, I think that it really
Right.
reduces division and it reduces hate. I
Yes.
think the closer that you are to someone, the less you can hate them, and
That's right.
so that's just what my I mean, that's what I'm trying to make my art about is to just
Yeah.
get these big emotions onto the canvas and just have a conversation with people about it.
I love that. It kind of ties in. There's two things. Kind of ties into something my wife and I were talking about. There's so many human beings on the face of this planet, right? But we have so much in common with each other. One, we're human beings, right? Um, if you were to close your eyes and you were in a room of 10 people and they all started laughing, you would not know what color they are, what religion they are. We all laugh the same. We
Yeah, that's
cry.
beautiful.
We experience emotion the same way. We
Right.
get frustrated, we get angry, love, happiness. We have all that in common. And that's the thing that I think should bring us together and unite us is what do we have in common, the common ground. Sure, we might have difference of opinion, difference of religion, political party, whatever.
Mhm.
If we put those things aside and just, what do you and I have in common? Well,
Yeah.
we're artists, right? What experiences have you had? Which kind of leads into my next little question, and I was thinking about this yesterday and earlier over the weekend. Is does every piece of art that you create does it have to tell a story? It does. Does a story have to be there? And I guess what I'm trying to say is, you create a piece of art, and I do a landscape, but do I have to if somebody were to ask me, why did you paint that? Do I have to come up with some story? Well, that's the dock where my grandfather taught me how to fish, and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
or is it? I was just impressed to paint it.
Yeah.
I was just moved by that,
Yeah.
marsh scene or whatever. So,
I think that's a really good question,
yeah.
and I think a lot of artists ask themselves that question,
Mm-hmm.
and, as far as I have talked to people and my own opinion about it is I don't think that you have to know why you're painting what you're painting.
Right.
I think what's more important is that you're in that space of clarity or you're in that space of, where you're not in your head. And I think as long as you can try to stay in that space, where you're being honest and you're being
Mm-hmm.
honest to yourself and you're listening to your intuition and your I think just being honest with yourself. I think that what comes onto the canvas will surprise you. And then after the fact, you sit with it and you reflect on it. Like, I don't title my paintings 95% of the time until after
Right.
I've painted it. And
Right.
I'll sit with it and I'll be like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I was mad. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. What am I angry about? What am I suppressing? What did I need to get out of myself that day? That clearly I did, what's that about? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's to me where art speaks because, anybody that looks at that painting, could see that emotion and then address whatever's inside of them that might relate to that. That's my
Right.
opinion. And
Yeah.
there's an artist who I love, Joan Mitchell. She was an abstract expressionist, beautiful, beautiful colors in her paintings. And some people call her an abstract painter, and some people called her a landscape painter because she said that in some interviews that she did, she said, I look outside, but then I close the windows and I paint the feeling that I had from out there. And
Right.
so she's like, it's not, I don't paint the landscape, but I paint from the landscape. And it
Mhm.
just, and her abstracts are beautiful. And you would never look at it and think that it was a flower or a
Right.
landscape.
Right.
It's totally abstract, but it's that feeling and that emotion that she had and that she put into her canvas, and that you look at it and then it translates, it goes through your personal filters and translates into something maybe completely different.
Right.
It's up to the viewer. I think that's what's
Right.
so neat
Yeah, I
about art.
like that. I'll have to check her out. It made me think too is and I've talked about this with other artists is art lies in the eye of the beholder, right? Like beauty does, right?
Yeah,
Because you could have a piece of art and two people are standing there looking at it, and one of them just shakes their head and says, "I don't get it. What's this about?" And the other one says, "Oh my gosh, you don't see this is what it this is how I felt when I saw it," or whatever. It just is
yeah.
so inspiring. Other person's just like, "Nah, I don't get it."
Mhm.
And I think my mom's that way sometimes because
So is my
she
husband.
she doesn't get watercolor. When you do little simple watercolor paintings, and I try to explain to her because I do oil and I do mostly landscapes and I do some architecture, that kind of thing too. But
Mhm.
that's to her art. So if she sees something different, it's like it looks like something a kid would do. No, mother, you're not getting it.
Yeah,
And trying to explain that to her, I will never win. So
yeah.
I
Well,
give
I
up.
mean, people say
But
that about Picasso, so
yeah, yeah, but it's like somebody else may pick it up and say, "I love that style. I love that about watercolor. It's different." Um, and then some people may not like, you know, landscapes and
yeah.
oil painting and stuff like that. So
Oh,
I think the
yeah.
secret is just creating it. I like that. And one thing too, I was thinking and pondering about too is, especially if you're in a gallery and you're showing your work, is to be involved and engage with potential clients because they come up and they're looking at it and you can walk up and says, what is that? How does that make you feel? Tell me, why you're attracted to that painting and just get them to talk a little bit about it. And then that allows you to talk about it and talk about the
Mhm.
story and why and that's that connection. Cause lots of times that's what sells the painting is that connection you made with that potential
Yeah.
customer. And it's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Well, and 2, I mean, sometimes people will buy a painting just because of the title,
yeah,
you know? They'll relate to the title,
right.
and it's just people are just so different, what they relate to, and so that's honestly what this business of art I have really, especially with mostly nude women, sort of paint.
Hmm.
That's a hard thing to sell to everybody,
Yeah, it
and
is.
I
Yeah.
understand that, and it has been me having to put blinders on
Hmm.
and stay the course to not change my direction because I feel
Right.
very passionate about painting what I'm painting,
Right.
and, I've gotten some advice, or warranted or otherwise about, "Maybe you shouldn't do that, maybe you should do more landscapes, maybe you should do more, pet portraits or house
But
commissions,"
would you
and
be
those are
happy?
critical.
Yeah, but would you be happy in creating that?
Exactly,
It's
and,
almost forced.
yeah, and it's like and, these are really smart people and smart business people, and I'm listening, I'm like, "Okay, yeah, well, that would make more money," but the goal for me is to stay this course and hopefully find the right audience, I love where I live, and I love Perry, I love Macon, but really, in reality, those are both pretty small towns,
Right.
and I know that my
Yeah.
audience might not be here. I think that I have
Yeah.
got a lot of love from my town, and I'm grateful for that, but, it's like I got some advice from the, residency director in France,
In France.
and,
Okay.
she was like, "You need to go." She said, "You need to go to these big shows. Go to these apply to those things." She was like, "Do it. Don't be scared. Just apply to them. Find your people. You can stay in your hometown and paint, but, like, find those people. Find your
Right.
audience. Go and do these big things." She was talking about some show in Chicago, and I was like, "I would never have thought to do that myself," and it's still really scary, and I haven't done it
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, someone else who has done the thing is telling me that I can do the thing, and
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
was really important for me and really helpful to keep staying the course, keep the blinders
Right.
on.
Right. I
Yeah.
like that because uh, I can't remember. I've probably got it written down. I put all these little motivational quotes around my studio. I looked over to the right and I see one over there about practice, patience, and perseverance, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and then I've got some elsewhere, and I think I saw something about that one time about create the art that you love to create, and an audience will find you or collectors will find you. It'll happen,
yeah,
you
it'll
know.
happen.
And you can't always say, and I struggle with this sometimes too. It's like, well, I thought about painting that, but would it sell? I got to get out of that mindset. Just paint it. Just
You
create it. If it
man,
does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
it's
But
so
do what
hard.
I want to do. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
and it's
It is.
and it's it's really difficult when, I look at my bookkeeping, online and I'm like, "Okay, what's this month? Oh,
Yeah.
we're negative. All right,
Yeah.
let's pick
Yeah.
something that will sell."
Right.
And so it's this balance of, yes, paint what you love, but also this is a business, and so how can we create,
Yeah.
streams of revenue that aren't, it's just
That's
hard.
right. And I think too that's where sometimes the commissions come in, because
Yeah.
I've had people ask me to paint certain things, and it's like, yeah, I could paint that. It's not something I normally paint, but yeah, I could paint that. And if you want
Yeah.
to pay me, I'll paint that for you. And I'm going to give it my all, but it's almost like you're kind of forcing, it's like,
Yeah.
it's not as, what's the word, or maybe the feeling, it's just not as free and
Yeah.
expressive, or just, it's just like, yeah, it's frustrating sometimes.
There's definitely truth to that.
Yeah.
But I tell people, as much as you want to paint what you want to paint, um, I it, I'm trying to say yes to all commissions right now.
Right.
I mean, literally, I think it was April that started year 2 for me,
Okay.
and so just to get my name out there, to practice. Every time, like I said earlier, every time you put the brush, you make a mark, that's, some more miles behind your brush.
Right.
And so it's never a negative thing to do a
That's right.
commission.
Right.
You have someone who loves your work so much and who trusts you
Mm-hmm.
so much to pay you a lot of money to do this very personal piece of art, and that is such a blessing. I'm so grateful
Right.
for people who trust me with that. And there have been some strange commission requests and a lot of commemorating loved ones who have passed on, and
Right.
that's really hard. But again, I think it's a blessing, for me right now,
Yeah.
especially,
Yeah.
trying to
So,
get off the ground.
are there times where you turn down a commission because it's like, nah, I'm not going to do that?
I have not turned down a commission
Okay,
yet.
guys, send a commission into
Yeah,
her.
but I will say, a lot of times I'll preface, "Okay, this is my timetable that I'm working with. I won't be
Right.
able to do your commission until this time.
Right.
So if that doesn't work for you, then I'm not your person. Here's some other artists." And so I try to always give them an answer or, send them in another direction. But,
That's good. Yeah.
yeah, but I
That's
don't
good.
say no, I just and
Right.
espe
Right.
and if it's one that I don't want to do, you're like, "Okay, well, this is gonna take me forever,
Mm-hmm.
and, I'm gonna raise the price a little bit because I don't wanna do this, and my
Right.
time
Right.
is money, and,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
and also, I mean, for any artists that might be watching this, if you question about, like, how to price commissions and stuff like that, just to be totally transparent, I have a pricing system for all I
Mm-hmm.
do it by size,
Okay. Yeah.
and then every commission, I do that size plus 15%,
Okay.
because to me, that's time taken out of my week that I can focus on my my figures, what I wanna
Right.
do, if I'm
Other commissions you might be working on, other pieces that
Yeah,
you might be
exactly,
working
and
for
so
a gallery or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
ex
Yeah.
to me, that's just like the fee for that extra time, and a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
you spend more time. I do commission contracts, that takes some time. I send, pictures halfway through and updates, and I allow changes, that takes time. Even doing the transaction at the end and upfront and having the receipts and the invoices, that all
Right.
takes time, so that's what that
Right.
buffer in price is for. So just
Yeah.
little
I,
extra nugget.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I may want to, on the side, talk to you later or email back and forth. I'd like to get some information on your commission contract and what you
Yeah,
have in that. Because I
yeah.
know some artists, they want 30 or 40 or 50% up front,
Mhm.
because that shows commitment too. You
Yes.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because if you go and spend hours and hours and time and you create this and they haven't paid you anything and you get it and they say, I don't want it or I don't like
Yeah.
it or whatever, or I
Mhm.
really wasn't that serious, kind of thing. But if they put up the money and they put up 50% or whatever it is that you agree to, they're in it, you know.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
at
they're
least if they back
committed.
out at that point,
You've
you're not
got 50% of it.
supplies.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
you've
Because
covered
you've
your
spent a lot of
supplies.
time, and
Yeah,
effort,
yeah, yeah.
materials and supplies are not cheap, as we know.
No,
Yeah,
nor is your
so
time.
yeah, I
Yeah,
like
we
that.
can talk more
Yeah,
about
we
that for
probably,
sure.
yeah, and
And
and that's
everything that I have is a working document. There's
uh,
no
right.
no way is it perfection,
Yeah.
but it's worked for me, so.
Well, that's one of the things about this podcast that I'm trying to do is one is introduce artists to Middle Georgia. I mean, there's so many artists that are out there that I'm finding out that
Right?
people just don't know about. Right?
No.
Give them some exposure. I want to get, and you can send this to me later in the email, your contact information, Facebook to Instagram
Yeah.
to, website, how people can get in touch with you, all that kind of stuff. Cause I'll put that in what I call the show notes or the description or notes for
Mhm.
YouTube, Facebook, stuff like that. So, but and then two, just sharing information with each other, because there's probably some things that we may have said today that somebody says, oh yeah, I need to get and I need to talk a little bit more about and learn a little bit more about how to do commissions or pricing my work, kind of thing, because that's one of the things a lot of artists struggle with. What I do is I kind of use the square inch deal,
Mhm.
and also look at it, the complexity, of, it's a kind of a standard, for square inch, and then what's involved with it, because
Yeah.
as some paintings, there's a whole lot more brushwork, there's a whole lot more detail, there's a whole lot more in that versus something that's very simple. And so that I kind of factor that in a little bit too.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot of artists do that.
it's worked out pretty good for me. But yeah,
Mhm.
but I love
Yeah,
hearing that. Yeah.
my take on that, I think a lot of artists do that and factor the complexity into it. But at the same time, you think, okay, I've done all this training, I've been painting for years and years, I've invested money into classes and workshops and things, and so what you're getting, even if it's a 10 brushstroke painting, it's 10 brushstrokes because the amateur next to me would take, 40 brushstrokes to do the
Right.
same thing,
Right.
and it's it's a better painting
Right.
because of all the time and
All
effort.
that time and all
Yeah,
that
so it's
learning
like you're not just
experience.
getting a
Hmm.
30-minute painting, you're
That's
getting a
right.
painting that's taken me 30 years to be able to paint.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
I think
Yeah.
someone in another business, any other standard type business would say that, like a lawyer, or if they had an hour with a client and they gave them 2 words of advice versus 10 words of advice, they charge them the same.
Same thing. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
hey.
Here's the fee per
Yeah,
hour, regardless.
exactly.
I said hello and goodbye, and that was it. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
here's
Yeah.
my invoice.
So, can you share with us a little bit about your process?
Sure.
What you go through. It says, okay, I'm going to paint X,
Mhm.
and maybe it's a figure, and I'm going to do it on either on a panel or canvas. What's the next step?
Yeah,
What steps do you go through? Because a lot of people don't understand that, and we get it. There's a
yeah,
lot that goes on behind the scenes before
a
you even
lot.
put the first brush stroke on the
Yeah,
canvas, right? So
yeah.
tell me a little bit about that.
So I'll talk about two different types that I do, and then one new one that I just learned.
Okay.
But I do a lot of, so I primarily studio work is figurative, but I love plein air painting. I
Mm-hmm.
love plein air painting, which if you don't, anybody watching, if you don't know what that is, it's basically painting outside, painting on plein air, looking at something, painting what you see as the light changes. It's typically landscape, but it could be anything. I love that. And so recently I've done a lot more of, I did a lot of plein air painting in France. And so I've come back to my studio and made larger studio paintings based on those plein air paintings. And so that's one
Awesome.
process is
Mhm.
you go out into the field, you have your setup, you paint on usually like a 8 by 10 or a 9 by 12 panel, and then I'll have that back in my studio and I'll do a larger painting based on that small
Okay.
painting. Um, I love doing that because you can capture more accurate coloring.
Mhm.
I'm not a photographer, so any picture that I take is gonna be horrendous, and the colors are gonna be awful, and, I look at pictures that I've taken, and I'm like, "Why did I take that picture? Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
so awful," and then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, because I was really enjoying the view, and if I
Right,
had had
right,
my plein air set up, then it would have been a beautiful painting,
right,
but now
right.
I can't remember, what color the
Yeah.
sky was." So I love doing that, and so I'll usually snap a picture and then use the picture plus my plein air study for larger studio work.
Okay.
If I'm doing figures, a lot of times I have this whole catalog of references on my computer. I have slowly started to gain a lot of like online references and free things for artists that are just wonderful. And it's taken me a long time to find all of these resources.
Okay.
And so I'll use those sometimes. I prefer to work from life with a model, in the studio, and, I I really prefer that. It's the same kind of, reasoning for plein air. It's a different way. Your brain is working a different way, and I
Mhm.
feel like my studio work is always better when it's from life, or from someone that I know. If like a friend wants to model for me, or I really enjoy that. So I'll do some sketches. I love sketching. I have like a gajillion different
Mhm.
sketchbooks, ones that are small enough to travel with me. I use my iPad, and I'm not opposed to that. My graphic design background comes
Right,
into
right.
play
Yeah.
and using
Right.
those things. And so I've really gotten into where I'll take a picture of a model or I'll use one of my references. I'll throw it into my iPad, got it right here. I'm trying to show you one of them, and I'll play around with it using my app. It's called Clip Studio Paint.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's super helpful. You can just insert it's like Procreate, but it's a little
Yeah, I've heard of
easier.
Procreate, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
like
like a
that.
little
Mhm.
less of a learning curve for that. Trying to find one. Okay, here's one. This is actually the painting behind me, and I did this in France. So you can't see the figure, but I basically did the painting palette,
Okay. Yeah.
and then that's the finished.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
And so it just helps me work some ideas out and like, okay, I
Mhm.
want to use these colors. This is where I want my darks to be, just loose. And it's um it's usually it doesn't look anything like the finished product. Like that is very different than what's behind me, but it just helps me to kind of get over that initial hump of like I mixed up this huge pile of oil paint and then it turns out it was the wrong color.
Oh,
And so if I
wow.
have a
Yeah.
little bit of a guide, it just
Yeah.
helps me move quicker in the studio.
Gotcha.
Sometimes I don't do that. And sometimes I just start straight on the canvas.
Doing a
But that
sketch,
that is
on the canvas
yeah,
and
that's
going
something
from
that
there.
I'd like to do.
Mhm.
And then when I start on the canvas, I'll usually take like a burnt sienna,
Mhm.
like a transparent, like red, orange, or like red oxide, something like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Sometimes Indian yellow, I love. It's so
Oh, really? Yeah.
luminous and
Mhm.
vibrant,
Mhm. Yeah.
and I'll
I like that
paint.
color too, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so that's when the kind of calm, orderly part of the process is. I'll do the underpainting in that transparent color, and then I'll let that dry for like a day or two because it's usually really thin. And
Right.
then I'll mix up my big paints and I'll go in with big brushes and do big blocks of paint, do my darks, do my lights, and then go in and do some detail work, trying to leave as much of the underpainting, let it shine through as much
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
possible. It
Mhm.
just gives you it just makes it very luminous, which I like in my painting. So that's just a typical kind of process. And then recently, so sometimes I'll get stuck and I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't have a figure that I'm inspired by today. I don't have a model that's coming today. I don't have anything. I don't feel inspired. And that used to really stop me in my tracks. But recently I went to California with my mom, who also is a full-time artist now. I forgot to say that. She
Oh,
quit her day
okay.
job, full-time artist. She's amazing.
Great.
Go check her out.
Yeah.
Debbie Moore, Fine Art. But we went,
Is she in Perry?
not yet. She's in
Okay.
Atlanta right now,
She's in Atlanta.
doing her
So are they
thing.
moving? She moving down or?
That's the plan. So, but
Oh,
that could be
good.
like a couple of years. Who knows?
Hey,
But
I got
it's really
another
exciting.
artist to interview.
Yes, you do. She's the best.
Yeah.
But we went to a figurative painting workshop in California recently together. It was a wonderful trip.
Cool.
We had the best time, met amazing people.
I bet.
Uh, and Catherine Edlinger Kuntz, she was the artist leading the workshop. She's
Mm-hmm.
an amazing figurative artist. I think she's in Albuquerque, but she was in California for this workshop at Woodward Contemporary, also a great place to go and do classes. And she taught us to basically make this abstract painting. Just go to town, don't think about shapes, don't think about figures, don't think about anything, just intuitively play, turn on music, use acrylic for this part. So it dries really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're done with that, you take a step back and you're like, okay, I see I see a figure, I see a head, I see a torso, I see like the through line, that could be a hand. And you start looking and you just have this fun creative process where you see all these different figures coming to play. And then because you've put in the work of sketching and figure drawing and you have taught yourself the proportions, you create your own figure and
Oh,
you just
wow.
draw this new figure. And so it really I've started using that in my studio practice for when I do hit a wall and when I'm like at a creative block, because it's just this freeing. It's acrylic, so you can paint over
Mm-hmm.
it easily if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work. And you just go to town and then you find a figure and you start putting in the detail work. Then you start laying on your colors and then at that point she'll often bring in a model to pose in the figure that she's already created and just correct a few things
Right.
and
Right.
make corrections. So that was a really
That's
cool. It was
interesting.
a really cool
Yeah.
process. Yeah, check her
Wow.
out.
Yeah.
She's amazing. So sweet, so kind. Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
that's a lot there to unpack, but those are some processes that I use.
Yeah. So, you've talked about a couple artists already, but are there any others that you admire? Any that you follow that just, oh gosh, I just love their style. I just love their
Yeah.
creativity, the colors, the boldness, whatever.
Yes. Someone who so there's like different types of artists. There's like the old epic artists that are been long dead.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
like de Kooning and Picasso and those ones that I just, love and you can just squeeze out so much from them and just get a lot from them. But there's Francis Bacon is someone who I really love his work. And I don't think he was a great human, which bothers me,
Oh,
but
really?
it's just this raw grittiness to his figures, and it's kind
Hmm.
of some of it is like kind of disturbing and dark, but then he uses these bold colors, and it turns out he would look up to de Kooning, who looked up to Picasso, and so it's this like heritage of artists that I loved them
Gotcha.
all individually, and then I've recently like found out how they were connected, and that's really
How
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and how you can't really help who you're drawn to, like we
Yeah.
were talking about earlier with
Yeah.
people looking at artists.
Yeah.
Some ones that are still alive, I really love I'm gonna butcher her name. It's Agnes Grocholska? Another figurative
Okay.
artist. She's mostly, portraiture, but it is so cool.
I
It's
bet.
not traditional portraiture. You can see her individual, like nothing is blended. It's all these individual colors that make up the face. And recently she started leaning into this really like abstract kind of figure. And
Interesting.
yeah, it's all about how the figure on the canvas interacts with the surroundings of the canvas. And so the way that she constructs her paintings is so It's just wonderful. I love her work. It's
That's
beautiful.
good. That's
You should
good.
really check her out.
Yeah. You'll
Um,
have to email me these
yeah.
artist names so I can look them up. And talking about this one, with their portraits, do you know Claudia Hartley? Have you heard of Claudia?
I have
I,
heard that name.
I just did an interview with her and put it out there last week.
Is
So
she in
check it
Macon?
out. She's in Macon, but she was out in Arizona for a number of years, and she does some portrait work. But she does. It's almost like pixel type with
Ooh.
portraits to a certain degree. And there's not a lot of blending,
Yeah.
like you see in a traditional type,
Yeah.
you know, art. And, you could go out there to her website. You could also, I think, on my YouTube channel for this podcast, you could find her interview. And I think I've got information in there on how to find her website and that kind of thing. But just talking kind of reminded me of her. She did a show down at Greenlight late last year, early this year, and she did portraits of different people from Macon and everything.
I
And
remember that. I didn't get to
yeah,
go, but that's I must
yeah.
have been where I saw it because I got the
And,
email.
and the thing I liked about
Yeah.
her, and I want to, she and I talked, and we've been emailing a little bit, and she likes to do some plein air, and she was talking about maybe going up to Rose Hill Cemetery and doing some plein air painting up there, but anyway, she likes to use warm and cold colors beside each other. There's a warm, there's a
Mm.
cool, there's a warm, there's a cool, kind of thing. And I told her, I don't think I insulted her or anything. I mean, to me, it was kind of a compliment because I said, your art reminds me if uh, Claude Monet and Van Gogh got together and had a child or created art, that it would be Claudia, what she's creating.
How
I
would
mean, it
that be
just,
an insult? I feel like that would be the
yeah,
best
yeah. I
compliment.
mean, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, that's because that's what I think of when I see her
It
work.
kinda
It's
sounds
it's it's different.
like Chuck Close, is that right? Chuck Close, he's like he did like those I think he did self-portraits, like little squares, and he did like
Yeah, it's almost like that. I mean, because you can step back and you can really see, oh my
yeah,
gosh. But when you get up, you can see all the little,
mhm, yeah.
brush strokes of paint
Very
and everything.
cool.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I'll have to check
really really neat. You'll have to check her out. But
her
yeah,
mhm, for sure.
yeah,
There are so
that was
many
cool.
amazing artists. I mean, just I I always like to look at the old dead artists, the the greats. I mean,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah.
But there's so many now who are so talented, and so many women too that are
Oh
talented.
yeah,
Like, and
yeah.
people who I look up to, who my work looks nothing so many abstract artists that my work looks nothing like theirs, but it's just so cool.
Hmm.
I love it. I could
Yeah.
keep we could talk about artists for
Oh,
a
oh,
long
I know, I
time.
know. We could make a list and just go
Yeah.
on and on, but um, we, it's something that I try to ask some of the artists is, what do you find just the most challenging about creating your
Mhm.
art, and how do you overcome that?
Yeah. I think that we've kind of touched on some of those things a little bit. A lot of times it is "Oh, I just painted something really great. What's next? Can I do
Hmm.
that again?"
Hmm.
Now I'm intimidated by myself. It's like I can find
Yeah, I can
anything to
relate
be
to that. I
intimidated
understand what you're saying. Yeah,
and
seriously.
that's why I'm so
Is my
grateful.
next one going to be that good, if not better? You
Yeah,
know,
like, was that a mistake? Was that an accident?
is that a
Does
fluke?
that
Yeah,
actually live in me, or was that just an accident,
right.
you know?
Where'd that come from?
Did I
Yeah,
sneeze and my brush did this
yeah,
amazing thing?
right,
Um, I'm
right.
so grateful to Catherine
Yeah,
from the workshop because I feel like she just gave me one more tool to put in my tool belt to
right,
overcome that.
right.
And so that's honestly, I think that's what it's about is you have to constantly be yearning to learn from different people and learn how people paint. And I think that it helps you because it doesn't always click, but sometimes things
Yeah,
just click with you, and then it's just another tool in your
yeah.
tool belt. It's another
Okay.
tool that you can reach on when you're struggling,
Right,
when you're going through a block of any
right,
kind.
right.
I think that can be a challenge for me, especially when I paint these big paintings. I'll do this big painting and I'll have done it in a day, almost like alla prima, and be like, "Whoa, that just." that completely conveyed what I was feeling, and I'm so proud of that. And the colors that I used, I'm really like, it's really successful. And then you go to the next white canvas, and it's just so intimidating. And
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
just, I don't know if that'll ever stop. I'm grateful for it because I feel like it always forces me to bring my best foot to the like best. I was gonna say best foot to the table, but I think that was combining two different sayings.
Yeah.
But just always showing up your best self, I think
Right.
is really a challenge.
Right.
And finding your audience, keeping the blinders on, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to have feedback from people because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's another artist, I usually like to take art advice from artists only, because you just get it. It's different.
Right. Right.
And so sometimes you do need that outside opinion to tell you, no, 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 that's not. You need to change that. That's not good. Take some classes and this,
Right. Right.
But at the same time, you've got to listen to yourself and you've
You
got to
do.
stay the
Yeah.
course. So
And sometimes, with that, we had our little artist meetup group, which I
yes,
which
which
I
I
love,
love.
and we need to do it more on a regular basis. Quarterly basis is probably pretty good. And I
Yeah.
like the feedback thing, and we were talking about that, and I
Hmm.
remember the piece of art that you showed and everything, because we need that feedback because I'm experimenting with some different stuff, and it's like, hey, does this work? Or if you experimented with this and all that kind of stuff, and you get it, because you're right. If you There's so many art critics out there that know nothing about art, and they're trying to give you advice that you probably know
Yeah.
and everything. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's good to get some feedback from other artists and say,
Mhm.
hey man, that's great, or no, that sucked, or whatever, or have you tried
Yeah.
this or tried that, kind of thing. And we met at my house back in March, and I'm always willing if people want to come over, hey, that's fine. I think we have a pretty good group in Warner Robins Perry. There's a couple of
Yeah.
people that live up in Macon, but I think we're trying to get more and more people in this area too. But in our last meeting, we talked a little bit because Ken, Dr. Miller there, he was there in June, and he was at my house and he was talking about different stuff, and his painting, and I said, well, have you tried an imprimatura, you know, and I do that sometimes, and I said, it's just like a blueprint to me, and I use the transparent red oxide, and I start wiping away the darks,
Yeah.
the lights, the shapes, and all that, and let it dry, and it's like it makes it so much quicker and easier. And I love how vibrant some of the colors are once you apply that on top of it. But you learn from other people, and the whole point is, it's like, well, I kind of experimented with that, and I don't know if I, want to. Maybe I should try that more often, And I don't do it for every piece. There's some pieces I
Right.
don't, and I've gotten to where I try to tone my canvas more now than I used to. Instead of just painting on a white canvas and everything, but because that can be intimidating. You
Yeah, it's like
know,
that first barrier,
yeah.
the white canvas.
Whoa,
It's the
it's just
first stroke that
yeah.
you're like, do or
Yeah.
die,
Get a
which
little
you got
color on there
through.
first, and then it's kind of like I broke the ice. Okay, now
Yeah,
we can we can
exactly.
do what we need to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is so
Yeah, I
cool.
really enjoy that group. I'm so glad
Yeah.
that, Kara reached out and invited me, and I
Oh
got to
yeah.
meet you, and I got to meet everybody else. It's nice to get feedback. It's like artists know how to give you the feedback in a way that they know where all my sensitive parts are. Like, they know where I'm touchy about certain things, and because you are
Vulnerability.
too. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you have a lot of the same vulnerabilities that I do, and so
Right.
you can apply constructive feedback in a more gentle way,
Yeah.
but also to the point,
Right.
where I'll
Right.
understand it.
I like the
Um,
feedback and not the critique because I hate the critique.
yeah,
It's critical. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You don't want to be critical. You just, hey, I can give you some constructive feedback,
yeah.
and that kind of thing. But
Well, and that
yeah,
that group is, we look at paintings, but also it's just to say, hey, I'm also an artist, and we're in the same area, and these are the things that I'm challenged with, or these are the people that I met that are really cool that you should meet. Um,
right.
I feel like being an artist, especially full time, it can be very isolating.
It's lonely
You know,
sometimes.
it
Yeah.
is, it can be really lonely, and, it has to be to a degree, but
Yes.
at the same
Yeah.
time, being not having community is detrimental,
Yeah.
and so just having other people to just nod and say, "Yeah, me too."
Yeah. Been
It
there,
just
done
it
that.
just is this
Right.
balm, it just kind
Yeah.
of soothes those nerves
We need
sometimes.
that, because you're right. You do have good a long time in the studio. You're creating,
Yeah,
but you might get stuck.
yeah,
Victor's an oil painter, or Jana's an oil painter. Jana, have you? Here's where
yeah,
I'm at. Can you offer some advice? Send me
yes.
photos of my painting, or hey, whatever, come over, see what I'm doing. That kind of thing. Because we need that.
Mhm,
We need that community, and I like having that group come together and just kind of because we're at different levels. Some are more of a hobbyist, kind of dipping their toes
mhm,
in it. Some are further along, more of being professional and selling their work and that kind of thing. And some are like, well, how are you going about selling your work?
right,
And that's a good question for you here is you do have a website.
mhm.
Are you able to have any print on demands from your work? Are you doing any of that, through your website? Talk a little bit about that. Are you on Instagram, Facebook? Because I do
Yeah,
want to put that in the show notes so
okay,
that people can find where you're at, reach out to you if they have any questions, want to commission, that kind of thing. So tell me a little bit about that. So, and
sure.
how you're, yeah.
Yeah, I do have a website. I set up my website through Squarespace,
Okay.
just so it has a really good platform for selling as well. And so I have like an available tab, stuff that's available work in the studio, and then I have available work at Massey Gordon, which is a interior design store in Perry, who I'm good friends with the owner, and she's always been so supportive of my work. And so she does a lot of high end, like residential homes and things. And so she'll place my art there and she'll have it in her store. And I'm alongside some other really great artists that are local. So if you just want to like have local art, go shop there because she has a ton of local artists. So she has an online presence as well. So it links to her online presence where my art is. And then I have some prints that I just put on my website. It was a painting
Great.
that I did in France that got a lot of traction, and I was so surprised by it. It was very vulnerable for me to put this painting out there, but I got so much good traction, and so I was like, "I'll make prints," and
Yeah.
because the painting sold immediately, and then all these other people wanted a
Right.
version of it,
Right.
and so I had that on my website. I have a limited amount of prints for that.
Hmm.
I don't have print on demand.
Okay.
I haven't really explored that. I I think there's a whole audience of people, artists who have opinions on prints in
Right.
general. I think it can be a touchy subject, which I don't really understand. Some artists believe that you should never make prints of your work, that it cheapens your work. Um, some artists are like, hey, this is a business, print on demand, make art accessible. That's more of the vein that I live in.
Right.
I still like to have control over, there's a limited number of these. It helps keep for me, I can control the quality better. I
Hmm.
hand sign every single one of them. So if I did that, then it would be hard for me to, add that onto it because
Right.
it would just
Yeah.
go to a printing website that would send it straight to the customer. I think I'm not
Yes,
positive
they
about that.
they do. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and so I like having that kind of
That
adding some of
control
that.
or that.
Yeah,
Now,
sign.
do you use a printer yourself, or do you have a company that prints those, and then you get them back and you sign them and you've got them ready, and
Yes.
then whoever orders one, they pay the shipping and all that kind of cost too.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
that's what I do. So I
Okay.
just went ahead and ordered them, and I did a lot of test prints with people, and there's some, I'm still trying to figure out which printing company I like the best, but I've
Hmm.
got some really good prints now. I
Yeah, we'll have
tested
to
the
talk
color
about that
quality.
offline too sometime. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
um, And that's where my graphic design background helps because I have the whole Adobe suite and I can color correct on
There you
Photoshop and
go. There
do
you
all
go.
that. And so that's really nice. And I just basically send them the high res image and they print it, send it back to me. So I have all of the limited edition prints that haven't sold. And
Gotcha.
then I sign them and I number them as they sell.
Hmm.
And then I ship them. Like I have tubes
Okay.
that I wrap and I ship.
Okay.
Um,
Now, do
and
you
so that's been
photograph
really
your work?
great. I
You
do. I
you
do
do
that
the
too.
photograph? Okay.
I have also had to learn how to do that. There was a guy in residency with me who was a big help with that, and because I was doing it a really difficult way before, I just have this talent of making things really difficult for myself when they don't need to be, and I was doing that. And so recently, I've upped my photography
Up your
game.
game there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and which
Yeah.
has made it a lot easier. So I do that, and so I make sure that it's a high resolution
Right.
photo, color
Right.
correct it, do a test print, all those things. So there's a
Right.
lot of time and effort that goes into like limited edition prints,
Right.
and a lot of time and effort that goes into the actual painting
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
so yeah, I
Mhm.
have prints on my website now, and what's available right now is very limited. Um, I was doing releases on my website. I would have like a collection, like in the spring that I would put, and I would do a release date, and I would release it to my email subscribers first,
Mhm.
as just a thank you for following
Right.
along. You get early
Right.
access, first pick of the litter kind of thing. Um, and so that's something I'll put my website, it's on there if you want to subscribe. Um,
Yes.
Caveat, side note, I feel like it's really important for artists to have an email list because who knows
Mhm.
what's going to happen with social media. I mean,
Oh,
seriously,
I know. Yeah.
who knows? And so
That's right.
you would lose all of your followers. You would lose
That's right.
all of your people if you
That's
don't
right.
have an email list.
Yeah.
So start one if you don't have one.
Yeah.
Mine's very small right now, but
Yeah.
we're on the up and up. But yeah, so I'll do that. And sometimes a lot of the work will sell and then I won't restock until I have a new collection.
Mhm.
So I'm still trying to figure that out. It's only been a year. I've done it twice now, I think. But yeah, there's always something available on my website. And then I have a
Okay.
portfolio on there as well that you can see.
Good. Good.
Um, and then you can do
Fantastic.
a commission through my website. You can do like a commission inquiry through my website or contact me directly, like through Instagram or my email, however. So
Great.
I this body of work that I made in France, I'm showing it in August at a solo exhibition at Clover Wine Merchant in
Oh,
Paris.
yeah. Been
Yeah,
down there,
and
purchased some
yeah,
wine. Yeah. That's
yes,
great.
and I am really excited about it.
And what
So
month
if
is
you
that? Is that in August or September?
August 16th, 7
August
PM, it's a
16th.
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of information on my website. I have a
Okay.
blog on my website as well, and there's a frequently asked question blog that I just published yesterday. So just about exhibitions in general. So you can go and
Yeah.
look at that.
I have to check it
Yeah,
out.
so I
Yeah.
would love for you to come
I'll have
and
to come down there for that. Yeah.
yeah, so my work will be available
We love
there.
to
I'll
go
have
down
some
to
prints
Perry and
there.
on the weekend sometime and eat lunch and
Yeah.
shop
Oh,
around,
it's great.
Just
And
love the
Clover
downtown.
The owners at Clover, they are so supportive of my
Yeah.
work, and they've been so great, and I love their shop, and immediately when I thought, "I wanna show this work, where am I gonna show it?" 'Cause I don't
Right.
have any galleries yet, and, I was like, "I'm gonna just contact them and see and make this my own, do it myself, because why not?"
Yeah.
And they were on board immediately, so I was so grateful
Fantastic.
for that. Yeah, I think it's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Our first
Yeah.
experience down there when we went in, they got the room in the back where they do
Mhm.
food and dinner and
Yeah,
stuff like
dinners and
that.
stuff.
And we're talking about France and Italy and all this kind of stuff. And the guy's just so knowledgeable. He is a wine
Yes,
expert.
Mike, the
He's
sommelier, yeah.
top notch guy, and he was telling us all kinds of stuff. But I almost felt like it's the Godfather in the back room. You go back through
He
the
is,
curtains in the dark, and you eat your spaghetti or whatever, your
yeah,
lasagna. It was
yeah,
just so cool.
yes, with the cigar
In
hanging out of
downtown
your
Perry.
mouth. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know, right?
Oh,
I'm like, "Don't,
it's wild.
don't mess this up. We need
Yeah,
this."
yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Oh, I
look
love
forward to that. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on the calendar and hopefully
Please
we can get
do.
there to see that. But yeah, I mean, because in downtown Perry, I mean, you've got your work in another shop, but there's no real art gallery in downtown
No,
Perry,
there's
right?
not. I don't know
I,
how
I,
an art
I hope
gallery would do
somehow
in
we can
Perry.
create that and get something going
I know, that
downtown
would be great.
Perry.
I feel like that would
Yeah,
be honestly, Victor, I have thought about that, but, this I'm like, just one thing at a time, Jana.
yeah.
One thing you just started your
Put it
business.
as a goal.
That's
You
a
know,
whole other
it
that's
is.
a full-time
I
job.
got to win the lottery first, but
Yeah, right?
yeah,
Easy. Well, yeah, do
yeah,
that and then come back and
yeah.
we'll figure out the
Right.
gallery. Yeah, I think it could be successful, and I think
I
it
think
would just
so
be a
too.
cool way to showcase local art,
Most
you
definitely.
know?
Most
Yeah, and
definitely.
even to host, like, um, classes
Different
for
events
kids
and
or adult
things,
classes or
Yeah.
have a bridal shower there, all
Uh,
these you
yeah.
can tell I've thought about this.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well, this
that's a
has
good
been
question
wonderful. I tell you, we've talked for almost an hour and 10 minutes, believe it or
Oh,
not.
wow,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, time has just flown by. It always does, when I start talking to folks about art and just, their story. And I tell you, it's been a pleasure today, Jana, and to
Oh,
get to know you a little bit better, your background. I think you were Miss Perry down there, Perry High
I
School or
was.
something. Yeah.
I
Beauty
am
queen back in
I'm
the
a
day.
reformed pageant queen, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll do your little wave. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Uh,
Yeah, I was born and raised here, now I'm
but
back.
well, I'll have to go out and do some plein air painting when it cools off a
Yes.
little bit. I don't know if you know Beth Smith or not. She is an artist. She has Cornerstone Academy of Art and Design in Macon,
Is
but she
that
also in
in Mercer
Kathleen,
Village?
and it's up there
Like,
behind the
next to
post
the coffee
office.
shop? Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right behind the post office.
Yeah.
You know,
I
right in
don't
that
know her, but
little
I saw
area.
that the other day, I was researching it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to go starting next Monday. I talked to her, and I'm going to take some art lessons from her. There's some things I want to explore and everything, and she's going to help me with that. And so we've
Awesome.
kind of worked out something. And we talked a couple of weeks ago about doing some plein air painting, and she has a little group that go out and they just pick a different spot. But it'll be more in the fall when it cools off a
Mhm.
little bit. So
Yeah.
hey, we'll keep you in mind, and maybe
Please
we
reach
can
out.
all get together and do somewhere. That's the thing about Middle Georgia, especially Macon and Warner Robins and Perry. We don't have the Grand Canyon, we don't have mountains, we don't have the Grand Tetons. We don't have the beautiful desert and out in
No.
Arizona and stuff like that. But we just have to think outside the box and try to be
Yeah.
creative and come up with
Hey, it
something.
makes us
You
better
know,
painters.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's challenging, but I think we could do it. But anyway,
Yeah.
but thanks
Yeah,
again
thanks
for
for
being
doing that.
on the podcast today. I mean, it's been
Yeah,
wonderful. I've thoroughly enjoyed it and
me
everything. Is
too.
there anything you want to share before we end?
Um, no, just my upcoming exhibition. You have an
Okay.
upcoming show too at Greenlight,
I
right?
do at Greenlight. Opening
When is
reception is August the 1st from 5 to 8,
perfect.
that first Friday. And
Nice.
I'll be down there the whole month. I mean, the art will be down there the whole
Yeah.
month, and we're really pricing this stuff to go. I mean, we really want to
Okay.
sell this artwork.
Good.
We want to help. This is Hazel's last, show, or my last
I saw that.
there, because she's
That she's
closing the
closing.
gallery, and we
Yeah.
really want to, not to get emotional or anything. We really want to come out and help support her and show her some love and support and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, I'll share.
but yeah, and but yeah, it's August the 1st from 5 to 8 there in Macon, and
Okay.
we'll have some food and stuff like that, which would be great, and hope to see a lot of people. So yeah,
Yeah.
but thanks
I'll keep
again.
you posted.
So good
Thank
to
you so
see
much,
you and
Victor.
talk
It's
to
good to
you.
talk to you.
Yeah. Hey, we'll
Yeah.
catch you guys later. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. I mean, this has been an awesome interview. Man, I'm going to create some shorts from this one as well, and put those out there because those do quite well. But thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you like this. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care, everybody. Take care, Jana.
Bye.
Bye.